We have a great crowd today. I guess we'll attribute that to the really lousy weather we're having outside that forced you all to come inside and attend. It's great to see everybody. We're excited. We got a good program for you today, and we were able to start lunch a little earlier so we get a little more program time as we needed. But today we're going to talk about personal safety. And our presenter today is Diane Scanga, who is now at the college but spent many years as an officer in the Kirkwood Police Force. And she's going to talk to us a little bit about the things that we should know about personal safety and everything we ever need to know about personal safety. Is that what you told me, Diane?
Yes, in a nutshell. Yes, sir. Yes.
I'm afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Diane started her law enforcement career as a cadet in the Kirkwood Police Department at the tender age, I'm told, of 19. She graduated from the Greater St. Louis Police Academy in 1977. You could do the math from there.
Yeah.
And spent the next 31 years, including assignments in every unit and division in the Kirkwood Police Force, as well as every rank except for chief. Patrol assignments included patrol work, community services, detective, field training officer, and her favorite, traffic. First female motor cop in the area, Diane got to combine two passions, police work and motorcycles. She's a graduate of the FBI National 154th Session, and she remains active in her Eastern District, Missouri chapter, and was elected to the FBI National Academy Associates Executive Board in 2004. Diane has an AS in criminal justice from some other community college. Being in Kirkwood, you can kind of figure out where that took us. A BA in criminal justice from Columbia College and a master's degree in business administration from the University of Phoenix. In 2007, she wised up, retired, and came to join us here at Jefferson College. She became the director of the Jefferson College Law Enforcement Academy, and which is now the public safety programs. And here recently we added the oversight of EMT and fire science to her responsibilities. She's been married to her husband John for 33 years. They have two married children, and the proud grandparents to twins Luke and Lily, and her newest grandbaby is Gabe, and she will spend a lot of time talking about him if you want to hear it. So if you will, help me welcome our presenter today, Diane Scanga.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you all for coming. I'm Diane Scanga. I was with Kirkwood for 31 years, and the reason why I do the personal safety talks and personal choices is during that time, I worked with a lot of victims, and I was always heartbroken when the victims would victimize themselves again by saying, oh, I wish I would have done this, or I should have done that, or I could have done that if I'd only thought of this. And I kept telling them, no, you've already been hurt once, quit hurting yourself, So I wanted to try to make some kind of an impact. Another reason why I like to do this is I would go to personal safety presentations, and they'd have the guy up there and let me show you this one ninja move that everybody can do. Yeah, scared you, didn't I, huh? Worked on her, okay, but it probably wouldn't work on President Kaminsky, okay? So, and that always bothered me, because when you tell people if you learn this move, you'll be safe, they stop thinking about being safe themselves, and not getting in a position where they're going to need the ninja move, okay? So that always bothered me. Another one that they would tell us was, well, if anybody ever attacks you, you just put your thumbs in their eye. Ooh, not many people are going to do that. I mean, if you're hurting my children, Katie, bar the door. But if you're just, I don't work that way. I'm not wired like that, And if I can't do it, really and truly, think about it. Who would? Okay. So that's why I thought it was important that people start doing their own inventory of what their risks are, okay? And that's what today's about. We've got a very diverse group, which is great, because you're going to see that everybody can identify what their own risks are, and then we'll talk about some ways that you can either choose to continue to live within those risks, okay? Because we do that. It's risky to drive. We still drive. It's risky to do a lot of things in life, but we choose to do that, but how can we minimize those risks? So that's what we're going to talk about. Personally, I've got kids. I was field trip mom. No, that's a shocker. Some people would argue that I'm still a field trip mom. I've got 2 recruit classes going on right now, so, you know. But I saw how vulnerable kids can be as well, and they weren't prepared. And I would talk to parents about, talk to your kids, and they'd, you know, oh no, we don't want to frighten them. And they're already scared, you know, I mean, give them some power. So personally, that's why I like to do these as well. You know, so it's not just a policeman talking to you, it's a mom talking to you, it's a grandma talking to you, and, you know, maybe we can share some ideas and everybody will learn a little bit more. Again, what today is not is that one move that'll, you know, get rid of all attackers. There are as many different defenses from crime, be it a burglary, a robbery, an assault, you know, whatever, as there, and as there are the motivations for people to be criminals. Years and years ago, again, in a rape prevention seminar I went to, I was told, everybody was told, you know, women, if you're being raped, tell the rapist that you have VD. Because the rapist won't want to touch you. It's a rapist! Really? You know? And so then when I went to the National Academy, I actually, we had a class on, with some of their detectives, and a woman was actually, they got the perpetrator, the bad guy, the perp, as you hear on TV, and he actually ended up killing the woman because she had told him that. And his version was, well, then she must be promiscuous. You know, that's not the word he used, but you can. And so she didn't deserve to live. I'm like, you're a rapist, it's okay. You know, don't do the math, it won't work out. So it's just important that you understand that you understand there's different motivations. If you're trying something and it's not working, try something else. But if you haven't thought about what your options are, it'll be over before you figure them out. Okay? Make sense? So that's what we're going to do today, is identify what you can do to help keep you safe and help keep your family safe. For a crime to occur, there has to be 3 things that happen. The bad guy or the bad girl, I don't want to be, you know, gender insensitive here. So the bad person has to have 3 things for a crime to occur. They have to have the desire to commit the crime. They have to have the ability, the physical, mental ability to commit that crime. And they have to have the opportunity. You and I out on the street can do nothing about desire and opportunity or ability. You know, we can try to work with people and not, you know, but really and truly, the only thing that we have any control over is opportunity. That's it. And in the world of law enforcement, in the world of, you know, safety, that's considered your prevention, crime prevention. A lot of you may belong to neighborhood groups and crime prevention groups. Crime prevention is kind of a misnomer. You can't always prevent crime, but maybe you can minimize your risks. But by preventing or minimizing your risks, we're doing something about opportunity. We're reducing the opportunity for that crime to occur. And that's what we want to do, okay? When we talk about prevention, think about your everyday life. You have to get out and go to work in the morning, many of you, okay? You may leave the house at dark. I can't tell you, no, wait until the sun's up, okay? Because I don't want the phone calls from the boss, you know? You told my employee they didn't have to come in until after the sun was up, okay? So, but what can you do to minimize those risks? If you've got kids or grandkids at home, because we all know you should keep your house locked. We know that, right? So that somebody can't just walk in the door. But trust me, if you have kids or grandkids at your house and you continue to lock them outside, the neighbors will call, okay? So you identify that, no, I can't keep my house locked when the kids are there and they're running in and out, but I don't have to leave my purse right next to the door that someone can open up, grab my purse and go. Or the car keys. Where are your car keys at? On the hook. Probably identifies which car they go to, okay? Right next to the door, okay? Yeah, that's where people keep their stuff. Where do you keep your purse? Right next to the door. A lot of men, they'll walk in, they'll take out their wallet and all the change out of their pocket, and it's somewhere right close to the door. So it's easy for you to get as you're leaving. which makes it easy for someone to get as they're coming in. Okay? When we talk about prevention, think about when you're in your car. I said before, driving is risky. We know that. But you wear a seatbelt. You've minimized the risks of being injured. You want to minimize the risks of your property being taken. Women, God love you. You and your purses. Okay? You've seen them in the store. You know, you got the purse right there. And then you're over here looking at the, ketchup, okay? Happens all, how many's seen it in the grocery store? How many's been it? Okay? If all you need when you go in the grocery store is your debit card or your checkbook, just take that. Okay? And I'm not beating up on women, because women, we are perfect victims. Okay? We really are. Because when we get to Schnucks, I'll use that as an example, we pull up, we park the car, we're walking into Schnucks, we are already past Schnucks at our next stop. Mentally, we're not thinking about Schnucks anymore because we're there. We're already thinking about, okay, when I get done grocery shopping, then I still have to do this and that and got to pick up this, and okay? So you're not aware of your surroundings, which makes you a more vulnerable victim. Okay? On the flip side, men, when you're at Schnucks, that's exactly where you're at. I mean, you are at Schnucks, okay? You don't have a clue where you're going after Schnucks, okay? Because you're not done with Schnucks yet. So just recognize that and be aware that if you're walking into Schnucks and you go, I don't remember if I passed somebody walking through the parking lot, you're not there. You're creating an environment for you to be injured, okay? You work out, you exercise, you have a run that you go, you run every morning. If you cannot find someone to run with you, then decide, is running at that hour of the morning worth it? Should you wear reflective clothing so you don't get hit by a car? If you're going to use spray, are you going to be ready to use it before someone is close enough to take it from you? Because any personal prevention item that you want to have with you, you have to be willing to have it used against you. Because most of us won't use it before someone is too close. Because we didn't want to hurt them. Okay? Police use OC spray because people aren't responding to our verbal commands. We don't wait till we're in the ground fight to use pepper spray. It's when they're at a distance. Are you going to do it? No. So those are things that you have to be aware of. Okay? So that's the prevention side of it. And I can't tell you what risks you should continue to take. We're living. That's a risk. But identifying which are risky things and what you can do to minimize those risks, that's prevention. Prevention's the hardest part of all of this, because if you do it right, you don't know that you've prevented something and you stop doing it. You get very apathetic. You get, well, no, nothing ever happens. I don't need to worry about it. Nobody's taken my purse out of the house. I can leave it by the counter. Maybe because it wasn't by the counter. So think about those things. When you're working in the backyard, you got to work out. You got to work in the house. Who really carries house keys with them when they're working in the backyard? Really? You lock your doors? Okay, I don't. Okay? Sorry, and that's perfect. You should. Because gypsies, have you guys heard about gypsies on the news? Okay, well, first of all, they don't wear colorful skirts, and, okay? That's not the gypsy we're talking about, okay? These are travelers that in the springtime, when they know everybody's out working in their backyard, they walk right in your front door. Okay? If your front door is locked, they're going to go to the next house. They don't want to attract attention to themselves by breaking glass or kicking in a door. So let them go to your neighbor's house. Love you, neighbors, but not my house, okay? So those are the areas. The next thing that you can do, you've done all your prevention. You've done your personal inventory. You've thought about what how you can minimize your risk, and bad things still happen. The third, like going backwards in the presentation instead of forward. The next one is, what is your reaction when bad things do happen? This is your ability. The bad guys have ability. What are your abilities? Okay? This is really where those personal choices come in. Make sure that your reactions are age specific. To give you a clue on how long I've been doing these talks, I used to start out with, okay, seniors, if somebody approaches you, you don't try to fight them, fake a heart attack. Okay? Now I can do that. Dang, I used to be able to go, well, the seniors, they can fake a heart attack. Me, I'll fight my way out. Nope, I'm going to the ground, okay? So, but really and truly, people who are going to take your purse, your wallet, whatever, they don't want to attract attention to themselves. Somebody dropping to the ground is going to attract attention, and who's got young kids and grandbabies? And you've picked them up and they go limp? A 20-pound baby is like 100 pounds now because they're a noodle, okay? They're not going to pick up an adult. If they grab your purse and take off, God love you, okay? Because when they're gone, then you can get up and walk away and call the police. Okay, that's age specific. That's what you can do. Younger people, women, if you wear flip-flops, don't think you're going to kick somebody and hurt them. Okay? Sorry. The whole trick was stepping on the inseam. If you're in flip-flop, or stepping on the instep, if you're in the flip-flops, not going to happen. And if I'm wearing heels, the thought of having to jam my heel into somebody's foot, heels aren't that comfortable to begin with, So think about what you have that you can react with, okay? What can you do? And I ask that you talk to your family about this, okay? There's decisions I've made. Nobody's going to get me in a car. I've just made that decision, okay? Because they can't do to me in the parking lot what they want to do to me. I'm not letting them take me somewhere else and do it. So that's my decision. My family knows that, okay? But you don't know what your family is thinking, or your kids or your grandkids are thinking, until you talk to them about it. And back in 1993, we had 2 little girls that were snatched off the street. Okay, and so I talked to my kids about this, and there were some home invasions going on at the same time. And I'm a police officer, so I'm pretty smart, and I think my kids are pretty smart. And I sit them down, they're 9 and 10 at the time, and I say, okay, somebody's coming in the front door. You're home alone, somebody's kicking in the door. What are you going to do? Okay, so my daughter's right there, okay, my son's right there. Daughter's 9, 8, okay, she's the older one. Incredibly bright, okay? What are you going to do? Somebody's breaking in the door, what are you going to do? She, boom, bam, like that. Jeopardy answer. Run out the back door, get help. I went, yes! Bonus! You are right, yes! Way to go, okay? So my son's right there, okay? Heard the whole thing, okay? Like, okay, somebody's breaking in the front door, what are you going to do? Somebody, okay? And he sits there and he... Okay, same question. Somebody's breaking, okay. And again. Are you in the house? Why? What difference would it make? Well, I wouldn't leave you alone. Oh, so wrong. That is such the wrong answer. And then we talked about it. Then I explained, well, if they can get me as much as you want to help, just size-wise, and, think of how many more adults you can get to come if you can go call the police, you know, get a lot of policemen here, a lot of guns, you know. And that he understood. And so that was fine. But if I hadn't have talked to him about that, he would have done all the wrong things for all the right reasons, but that's how his little mind was working, okay? You know, what if you hear noises outside? You know, my daughter's like, I'd take the cordless phone, that's 4 cell phones, I'd take the cordless phone underneath the bed and call 911. I'm like, yes, way to go, you know? And my son is, you know, well, I try to get a description. Yeah, and so if you don't talk to them, you don't know how their little brains are thinking. And I tried to bring this up to the parents when the little girls were being abducted, and they go, well, we don't want to talk to our kids about it because then they'll be frightened. You don't think they're hearing that on the news? I mean, you don't think, they already know it. Let them know they have some power. Who's got teenage drivers or grandkids or driver, okay? Yeah. Let them know they can wreck the car, okay? Young girl that my daughter went to high school with, after school activity, dropped some kids off at school, went to get gas at a 7-Eleven. It was very well lit. She did everything right. She goes in, gets a soda. She comes back out. 2 guys, as she's getting in the car, because she'd locked her car, as she's getting in her car, 2 guys come from the back. They get in the car with her. Okay? She's a runner. Again, inventory, personal inventory. What are you good at? Okay? I would not run. I could not run. It wouldn't be pretty, okay? They'd laugh. Maybe I could get away because of that. But she's a runner, so she knew that that was going to be her escape. That was what she figured. It was Memphis before she needed gas. She'd just gotten gas, okay? They get to the gas station. She's able to get out on the thing that I have to go to the bathroom. And so once she's there, bam, she bolts. There's a mall across the street. She gets into the mall. She's safe. Great. So her parents wanted me to talk to her, and I said, you know, I'm so glad you're safe, you know, blah, blah, blah. Did you ever think about, like, running into a sewer, you know, and disabling the car? And she just no, my parents would kill me if I wrecked the car. But think about it. How many parents say, you know, hey, go dent up the car? You know, normally it's like you wreck the car, you buy it. You know, you're going to be grounded, you're going to be that. But, and as soon as I said, did you think about wrecking the car? And she said, no, my parents would kill me. She goes, they wanted the transportation. If the car wouldn't have run, they wouldn't have exactly. If they want transportation, take away the trans part, okay? You know, and I'm not saying run into a bridge embankment at 100, okay? Again, think about your options here, you know, personal safety, you know. So those are the things that children of all ages. And my psychology part of this is, if your children ask a question, or grandchildren ask a question, answer it. When they quit listening, quit talking. Okay? Because you're going to think, ooh, they asked the question, I've got, you know, they asked me what time it was, so I'm going to tell them how to build this watch. They really wanted the time, that's all. If they're old enough to ask the question, they're old enough to start hearing the answer. They won't get it all the first time, but the next time they ask, it'll be reinforced. And just talk to them. Talk about vulnerability. We think about little kids. We talk about older adults. Imagine teenagers. Okay? What does a teenager see in the world? Nothing. This is their world. Right here. Okay? And so they need to be told that. They need to be told, understand, when you go into the mall to go shopping, chances are people know you've got cash. Don't have to worry about the credit card. You've got cash, okay? Girls with their cute little purses, okay? Little jeans with the money sticking out of the pocket, you know? Those are things that people look for. That's the vulnerability that they're looking for. So be careful with that. Then the last part of our R3 is recovery. And I don't want to dismiss this. But if you do the prevention and the reaction part right, your recovery is accelerated because you're not beating yourself up. The only thing you have to recover from is the harm done by the bad people, not the harm you do to yourself as well. If you're injured at all, please seek medical care. If you need to talk, talk. Talk to a spouse, talk to your family. You know, really and truly, if something would happen to my parents, I would definitely want them to, and they're worried about something, tell me they're worried. You know, tell me I'm concerned about this. Would you mind calling me every day for a couple of weeks? You know, just because I know it's a silly feeling, but don't you think your kids would want to help you? You've done all that you can, you know, so, or a neighbor, a minister, if you have a home church, a counselor. Most employers now have Comtree or EAP kind of things. Don't think, okay, it happened, it's over, you know, and it's silly for me to think about it anymore. If you need to think about it, think about it. Everybody has a different way. The recovery time is going to be just as different as what your reactions are going to be. Everybody has a different history. Everybody has a different outlook on what they're capable of doing. That's what that recovery is about. But the better you are at the prevention and the reaction, the more prepared you feel that you are. Then if something bad does happen and you get to recovery, part of your thought process is, it happened, but I was ready for it. I did the best I could with what I had. And you're not beating yourself up. So that's the key right there. And that's R3. If the bad guys get 3, opportunity, ability, and desire, we should get R3 as well. Okay? That's all I've got for you. If you have any questions at all, another tip that I was going to mention, if you carry a memento with you that is irreplaceable, my suggestion is, and it's happened before, that's why I suggest it, make a copy that you can keep in your purse or your wallet so that you're reminded of that happy time, happy person, happy whatever it is. But frame it in a pretty frame and leave it at home. Very few burglars will take frames. It's glass. They don't want it. It doesn't look valuable to them if it's in a frame. And they're not taking your purse because you have a picture of a relative. They're taking your purse for your credit cards, and that picture is going to land in the trash somewhere. So keep that picture, keep that memento. My husband had a quarter with his dad's date of birth on it, and that was really important to him. So we have that framed in a frame. And so he sees it every day. He's reminded of his dad, but he doesn't have to worry about that ever going away. So he had it in a keychain. So it's just that's kind of another tip I wanted to tell you while we're here. Any other questions or anybody have? Yes, sir.
The word choice is in your topic title.
Yes.
Would you respond concerning the legality of this big, serious choice, shooting an intruder both inside and outside your domicile? And I'd like to hear your response to something I've been told, that a legal remedy, if sincere, on the part of the victim, quote victim, is to say, I felt threatened.
Yeah. Well, before you shoot anybody, you should feel threatened. And that's just something we try to have people do. I don't know if that's part of the concealed carry class, but it probably should be. No, they have now taken out that part of the law. It used to be, because people would say, well, if you shoot somebody, you got to drag them into the house, okay? They don't have to be in your house. If somebody is kicking in your door and you shoot and kill them, that's, burglaring is a dangerous job. I don't know what to tell you. And they've got to take on some risks themselves. So that's my response to it. If you shouldn't have to think, oh, I need to say I was threatened. That's going to be pretty obvious, that you're going to tell them, yeah, the guy was kicking in my door. It's my house. He was kicking in my door. My response would be, you have to be careful if you're going to shoot through a door that it's not somebody you like. Not that, most of your family members shouldn't be kicking in the door, but, I was always worried. I gave my husband a 30th birthday party, a surprise 30th birthday party, and he was armed. I'm like, maybe that wasn't a good idea. Thinking back, I should have probably considered that, but yeah. But yeah, it's an intruder. If somebody they don't have to be in your house. If you feel that they're coming into your residence, that they mean you harm, then you have that right.
I say this not totally facetiously. Every man should have a woman with him.
Yeah.
Because I learned from my wife. We've not had an incident, but
yeah.
We've talked about it with others. And a guy, unfortunately, is probably going to hesitate, like you said earlier in your talk. Do they really mean it or not? My wife's not going to hesitate. Yeah. We're mean. Yes.
I think in the periodical you go, should I buy a weapon? In and the question I ask is, are you ready to kill somebody?
Right, right.
If you're not,
And
then no.
you have to be willing to kill them before they're close enough to take it from you. Again, any weapon you have, whether it's a can of OC spray, whether it's a weapon, whether it's something like that, you have to realize it may be used against you. Because if you keep a gun in a bedstand drawer thinking, if somebody's in the bedroom, I'll reach and get it, it's too late. That's too late, you know, and OC spray normally ends up in like the bottom of purses. You can't do the, you know, ooh, wait, just a second. You know, got it in here somewhere, you know, so that's, you have to be careful with that. Yeah, okay, but that's, and again, we tell people that all the time. If you're not ready to pull the trigger, don't have it in the house because the guy coming in will be. Yes?
This law also extends to your car?
Now, there's a, if you're being carjacked, if they have a gun, okay, if you come out to your car and someone is stealing the stereo, by law, you should not shoot them. That is property crime. You cannot use deadly force to protect property. You can use deadly force to protect person. And so if you come out and somebody's in your car, my suggestion is go back where you were, okay? You call the police, you call for help, you call whatever. If they get your stereo, I'm sorry. If they get the credit cards that you leave in your car, you know, risk assessment, you know, they're not after you, they're after your car. But if you interrupt them and you're going to stand between them and your property, then they may hurt you. Yes?
So if you're protecting property, you don't have to use deadly force, but if you're protecting your life.
Yes, it's person for person, okay? If you feel that your person is being threatened, then you can threaten a person. But if it's your property, deadly force is not in the books. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
I have a thing with elevators. I will not get in.
Uh-huh.
I go to this one doctor.
Uh-huh.
She's up on the 3rd floor.
Uh-huh.
And if I see somebody, especially a man,
Mm-hmm.
he says, sometimes I'll diddle around
Yeah.
and not get into that elevator.
Trust your instincts. Please, please, please. We were talking about this at lunchtime. People will override their guts. You know, when you get that feeling, listen to it. Listen to it, you know.
You're there in this elevator. with
That's
somebody
very
there.
close proximity. Very close proximity, yes, yes.
And
Okay?
sometimes I do, if it's a woman with a child.
Yeah. Because who's meaner than a mom? Come on, really. This woman's been up for 3 days and you're going to get in an elevator with her. But okay, yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's not apprehensive.
It is. And if you get that feeling, listen to the feeling. Listen to it. Yes, ma'am.
I've got in a women in gender studies course.
Uh-huh.
We talked about how women make themselves into victims by trying to be nice. You don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah.
And so when you have that feeling and you think, oh, well, I shouldn't get in this elevator, they go ahead and get in the
Yeah.
elevator because they don't want to be
Yeah.
seen as
Yeah.
mean or crotchety.
See, that never,
whatever.
I never had that problem.
And so they place themselves
Yeah.
in the,
Yeah.
in the opportunity.
We're the caretakers.
Yeah,
I mean, that's, yeah.
but you have to think of
You have to be
yourself,
proactive.
taking
Yes.
care of yourself.
Best
Yeah.
defense is a good offense.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't get into an elevator with a small child with some guy standing there with a axe dripping blood.
Depends on the child.
I was going to say, yeah. Let me think about that one for a minute, just a second. Probably not, yeah. Okay. No, we're laughing, but no, and that, like I said, we make ourselves vulnerable. We make ourselves vulnerable, okay?
You haven't met my children.
Anything else? Yes, I'm sorry.
Before my question, I don't think I heard as part of your bio of the FBI Association that you've served on with for a number of years and on the board, but you recently just got inducted as the national president.
President, yeah, for the executive
First
board,
woman
yeah. Thank you, yeah.
The question was, Ray and I walk a lot, and we see a culture of open garage doors.
Oh, yeah. And what do you keep in your garage? Your car with the keys normally on the dash. you know. Or you keep your garage door opener in your unlocked car so that if they take your garage door opener and then you close the door at night, do you go out and check if your garage door opener's in there? How many people lock their interior door, okay? Again, okay? There's a lot of people who that's their garage door being shut, that's their security. You know, and that's just, it's not, that's not it. But the open garage doors are huge. And again, it's one of those things, well, so-and-so's coming home early, and we ended up, our garage door is right off our kitchen, we ended up putting a French door with the 9 panes of glass, so I can see into the garage. So you know, when the garage doors are open, at least I know if, you know, somebody's coming and going. Because otherwise, the front of my house, when I was in the kitchen, I couldn't see anything. Yeah. Yeah, a risk management. That was my risk management, yes.
Years now, somebody connected with the repair police told us that there were bad guys that had scanners that would sit and run through all the permutations of garage door opening codes.
Yeah.
Is that for real?
They don't even need to do that as much anymore. There's not that many garage door codes. And this is when I go stand in front of the door so nobody can leave, okay? No, they already warned me. Yeah, no, it's now there's not that many different codes of garage doors, to be honest with you. And in Kirkwood, I mean, we had police radios that there were certain garages we know if we keyed our police radio, the garage door would go up. Yeah. I don't care who you are. That's funny. About 3 in the morning. Me. Yeah. We never did that. No. But anything else? Yes.
A lot of the communities have police academies where you go for a certain number of weeks.
Yes.
And then the 13th
Yes.
you play cop.
Yeah. That is any place that has those citizens police academies, or the county sheriff's got one, and most municipalities have them now. I would encourage you to do that. That's a great program. It really is. Yeah. Okay. I appreciate your time. Yes.
I think too, if it's around your house, your shrubbery should be cut back.
Yeah, the shrubbery cut back so that people can't hide in the shadows and that kind of stuff. When you let your dog out and you just, you walk away and leave the door open, that kind of stuff. Yes.
I guess it's fitting that my question was maybe in the meeting because it's kind of silly.
Nothing silly.
You referred earlier to instead of perpetrator, and I'm going to ask the question, do police officials go to school to learn this lingo? Because I find it entertaining.
Yeah.
They all talk the same way.
It's and we're getting better at speaking English. It used to be we had all these different terms, and firemen had their language and policemen had their language and ambulance, and now we're speaking. But it's like any culture. You go to your jobs and you had words that you used that meant something to you, and I knew I was speaking too much police lingo when I was taking my kids to school one day, and they were probably in 2nd and 3rd grade, and we're on 40, and there's an accident on the other side of the road, and my son said, well, I wonder if it's a J1 or J2, and whether it's a property damage or injury accident, and I'm thinking, okay, I need to start speaking English. So yes, ma'am.
One thing people who have security systems should be aware of, burglars will attack in daylight in the early morning. If you have a security system, always turn it on.
Oh yeah.
Night.
Well, and burglars, they like going during the day with so many people, everybody working. That's when your houses are empty. Burglars are burglars because they don't want to confront you. Robbers confront you. They like taking stuff from you. Burglars are cowards, is basically. So, and we get people all the time that, well, I figured the alarm sign in the yard would scare them off. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you.